First of all, extend my warmest greetings to our Honorable Lecturer Professor Dr. Safrizal MPD, the instructor of the Seminar on English Language Teaching course, who has guided and supported us throughout this semester in developing our academic presentation and critical thinking. I would also like to welcome our speakers for today, Rihhadatul Aisy and Syifa Nurul Sholihah, as well as participants who have joined this session. I'm Salwada Ramadhani, and I will be your moderator for today's session. Let us begin the seminar with full enthusiasm and an open mind to learn from today's insightful presentation. Without further ado, let's begin the seminar for the speakers. Time is yours.
Hi, thank you, moderator. Before I read the material, here are a list of our content. There are background of the paper, research question and purpose of the study, review of literature, research methodology, result and discussion, and the last is conclusion. Next, please. So, the first is background of the research. Reading is a fundamental language skill which aims to understand text and extract information. Effective instruction is essential for language learning, necessitating appropriate teaching approaches. However, students often face comprehension obstacles due to lack of motivation from uninteresting text, limited vocabulary, and ineffective teaching strategies. Most reading instruction focuses on rote learning, which leads to a passive learning experience. Therefore, engaging teaching strategies are needed. The researcher proposed the use of interactive learning media to improve reading comprehension, which is the background of the study titled The Effect of Applying Interactive Learning Media in Improving Students' Reading Comprehensions. Next slide, please. So let's move to research question and purpose of the study. Our research question is, does the use of interactive learning media improve students' reading comprehension? The use of this research question is very relevant in the current educational context, where interactive learning media is increasingly common. This question supports the constructivism theory that emphasizes active student involvement and aims to improve the quality of teaching and reading comprehensions. And for our purpose of the study is to know whether the use of interactive learning media can enhance students' abilities in reading activities. This research also can provide empirical data that is useful for educators and policymakers and offers new insight into the existing literature on educational technology. The results have the potential to develop more innovative and effective learning methods. Next slide, please. Here our review of literature. The first is definition of reading. Reading is a complex, purposeful, interactive, comprehension-based, flexible activity that takes a great deal of time and resources to develop. Reading is often driven by specific goals, whether it's to gain information, enjoy a story, or analyze a text. The main purpose of reading is to retrieve the message that the author has conveyed in the text for the audience. Reading is considered as an essential activity in everyday life. Reading activity has an important role in the school environment because it doesn't only serve as a source of information, but also as means to improve an individual's language comprehensions. And the next is reading comprehension. Comprehension is a complex process that requires an active interaction between the contextual background of the students, the purpose of the reading text, and the level of vocabulary and language the authors use to extract meaning out of text. Reading comprehension is one of the most important components of reading to master. Reading comprehension is the ability to understand what we read, where words have context and text have meaning. This understanding comes from the interactions between words that are written and how they trigger knowledge outside the text or passage. Next slide, please. And the next is definitions of teaching reading. Teaching reading refers to an approach of transmitting information from teacher to student using prescribed technique, strategies, and materials in order to teach reading itself. Teaching reading is an activity carried out by an English teacher in the classroom. It involves showing or assisting students in learning how to do something, providing instructions, guiding their study, and imparting knowledge to help them understand. In teaching reading, it is the duty of the teacher to encourage reading habit in learners by choosing suitable or prepared text, assigning appropriate and interesting reading tasks, and varying the reading activities. The next literature is definitions of interactive learning. Interactive learning is encouraged through various activities, shared projects, and experiences enabled by using up-to-date technology. The method will inspire learners to get deeply involved with the content being taught and motivate them to ask questions and explore in a purposeful way. In reading classes, the use of technology holds an important role because technology can bring a positive influence to motivations, interactivity, interactivity in class, authentic material, learners' autonomy, automatic feedback, and thinking skills. Teachers should acquire skill in using technology and shifting from the usual conventional language teaching ways to more recent methods. Next slide, please. And the last literature is about definitions of interactive learning media. Learning media are tools, methods, and techniques used as communication means between teacher and students so that the communication and interaction between them become more effective during the learning process at school. The use of learning media at the learning orientation stage will be very helpful in conveying messages and learning content, providing learning that is in accordance with the demands of information technology development can be done by developing learning media. It is undeniable that learning media in the form of technology can give an impression because they can integrate text, graphic, animation, audio, and video. Interactive media is the integration of digital media, including a combination of electronic text, graphic, moving images, and so on, into a structured digital environment that can make people interact with the data for the right purpose. Along with the development of more sophisticated technological innovation, it is a must that educators be capable of using and producing interactive learning media. This will allow the students to understand the in-depth content being presented by the teacher. Teachers must be skilled in creating and using interactive media in various forms and types to active communicative interaction with their students. The understanding of learning media as above is based on the assumption that the education or learning process is identical to a communication process. I think that's all from me and will be continued by my friend Syifa.
Okay, so the next is research methodology. For the first is research design. In this part, the researchers will use a pre-experimental method with one group post-test and post-test design, and the design applied in order to investigate the effect of interactive learning media in improving students' reading comprehension skill. The researcher do directly in class and meet with students in the class through learning process. There are two variables in the study. It is independent and dependent variable. Independent variable is the effect of interactive learning media, while the dependent variable is the student's reading comprehensions. And the design was presented as follows. The first one is the pre-test. Initially, students were given a pretest to evaluate their reading comprehension skill. The purpose of the pretest is to establish a baseline measurements of students' comprehension ability before the interventions is conducted. And the next is treatment. After the pretest, the students underwent the treatment phase where they were taught using the interactive learning media, and the last is post-test. After the treatment, students took a post-test similar to the pretest, where they again answered questions based on the reading. The score from the post-test were then analyzed to determine if there was any improvement in the student's reading ability. And the next is populations and sample. The the populations of this research is the students of the 11th grade at Mas Al-Mahdi, who all enroll in academic year 2024 and 2025, that consists of two classes, namely class 11A and 11B, which total 36 students. And the researcher takes sample from one class, that is class 11A, consists of 18 students. And for data analysis, in the study, the normality test and pair sample tests were conducted to evaluate the effectiveness of interactive learning media on students' reading comprehension skill. And the analysis was performed using SPSS 20.0 for Windows, following a structured approach. And the first one is normality test. The normality test was performed to determine whether the pre-test and post-test scores of the experimental group follow a normal distributions. This is an essential step before conducting parametric tests such as the pair sample test. The Kolmogorov-Smirnov test was utilized for this purpose. Execute through the following steps. The first is setting hypothesis. It is the H0, the pre-test and post-test score are normally distributed, and for the H first is the pre-test and post-test score are not normally distributed. And then conducting the test, and the Kolmogorov-Smirnov test was applied to analyze the distributions of the score, and if the asymptotic significance is greater than 0.05, we do not reject H0, indicating that the data is normally distributed. And conversely, if asymptotic significance is less than 0.05, we reject H0, suggesting that the data is not normally distributed. And the next is pair sample test. If the data normally distribute from the normality test, the text is a paired sample test. It was conducted to compare the pre-test and post-test score of students in the experimental group who use interactive learning media. And the step it is setting hypothesis and conducting the t-test. The pair sample t-test was executed in SPSS to compare mean score, and the output includes the t-value and p-value. If p less than 0.05, we reject H0, concluding that there is a statistically significant improvement in reading comprehensions after using interactive learning media. If p bigger than 0.05, we fail to reject H0, indicating no significant effect. And the last is Wilcoxon test. If the data didn't distribute normally after the normality test that we assessing first, so this test is needed to compare the pre-test and post-test score of students. The first one is setting hypothesis and then conducting the test. The Wilcoxon's test was executed in SPSS2 to compare mean ranks of the pre-test and post-test. The output includes the Z statistics and p-value. If p less than 0.05, we reject H0, concluding that there is a statistically significant improvement in reading comprehensions after using interactive learning media. And if p-value bigger than 0.05, we fail to reject H0, indicating no significant effect. And the next is result and discussions. The first one is transcriptions of the data. The study utilized a quasi-experimental result designs, focusing on one experimental group to assess the effectiveness of interactive learning media on students' reading comprehensions. And the research involved administering a reading test with a total score of 100 to measure comprehensions level. A pre-test was conducted prior to the implementations of the interactive learning media as the treatment, while a post-test was administered subsequently to evaluate any improvement in reading comprehensions. After completing the research, the researcher collected and analyzed the data on student score from both the pre-test and post-test, allowing for a comparative analysis of the impact of the applied interactive learning media of the students' reading comprehension performance. And as we can see in this slide, there are the table 1 and table 2. The table 1 is the pre-test score and the table 2 is post-test score. Based on the table 1, students' ability in reading comprehension show the lowest score of pre-test was 26 and the highest score of pre-test was 73, and the mean of pre-test was 51,83. And based on the table 2, the student's ability in reading comprehension, so the lowest score of post-test was 40, and the highest score of post-test was 93, and the mean of post-test was 73. And for the normality testing, the results show that the data from the pre-test and post-test were normally distributed with p-value significance of 0.200 and 0.122 for Kolmogorov-Smirnov, and 0.951 and 0.753 for Safirovil respectively. This indicates that the assumptions of normality is met, allowing the use of parametric statistical method in subsequent analysis. And for the sample t-test, the t-result for the pair sample show a significant difference in pre-test and post-test score. The mean score difference was minus 22.267 with significant value p of 0.000. This shows that the applications of interactive learning media significantly improve students' reading comprehensions. And for the discussions, the result of this study indicate a significant improvement in students' reading comprehensions when using interactive learning media compared to traditional teaching method. Students who were taught using interactive learning media demonstrated higher post-test score than those who received conventional instructions. Interactive learning media, which includes multimedia resources that integrate text, graphics, and interactive elements, encourage students to actively participate in the learning process. This approach not only makes reading more enjoyable, but also facilitates deeper understanding the various engaging activities. By incorporating technology into reading instructions, students are motivated to explore content more thoroughly, leading to improved retentions and comprehensions. This suggests that incorporating such media into teaching practice can be a valuable strategy for enhancing students' learning outcomes. I think that's all the material for me. I'll give it back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you very much to Syifa and Rihha for the informative and well-delivered presentation. Now we are moving on to the Q&A session. If any participation would like to ask a question, please feel free to raise your hand or type your question in the chat box. We will select several questions to be answered directly by the speaker.
May I please? May I ask?
Yes, please. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Okay. My questions is, how do you explain? No, sorry. Sorry. In this study, you mentioned a significant improvement in student reading comprehension, right? Is that true?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
What concrete steps can teachers take to maintain and enhance student motivation in reading after using interactive learning media?
Okay, thank you for your question. So the step to maintain student motivation. First, it is essential for teachers to continuously explore and introduce various types of interactive media, such as educational apps, simulations, or online learning platforms. This diversity will keep students interested and prevent boredom. Second, creating a collaborative learning environment can be key. Teachers can design group activities where students work together on reading project or discussions. This not only increases social interactions, but also builds student confidence as they share ideas and gain different perspectives from their peers. Third, teachers can assign challenging and relevant tasks. For instance, project-based research requiring students to explore specific themes from the text they read can help them feel more engaged. Tasks that demand creativity, such as creating presentations or videos based on readings, can also boost motivations. Additionally, providing praise and recognitions for student progress is crucial. Teachers should actively give positive feedback and acknowledge students' effort, both verbally and through formal rewards. This will build confidence and encourage continued learning. And finally, teachers need to encourage students to set personal reading goals by helping students recognize and celebrate their achievement, both small and large. Teachers can create a sense of responsibility and commitment of their learning process. I think that's all.
Okay, that's enough. Thank you, Riha, for answering my questions.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you to all participants for your thoughtful question. And of course, thank you once again to Rihha and Syifa for the excellent responses.
Okay, so for the conclusions, it is this study look at how interactive learning media can improve students' reading comprehensions. The results show that using this method significantly helps students do better in reading compared to traditional teachings. Data from tests show that students' score improve, suggesting that interactive media helps them engage more with the text. This engagement is important because it motivates students and encourages critical thinking. The results suggest that teachers should use technology and interactive method in their lessons to make learning more engaging. Interactive learning media can help with common challenges in learning instructions, like lack of motivations and difficulty with the text. They offer quick feedback and cater to different learning style. The study highlight the value of interactive learning media in reading instructions, educator, and Policymakers should consider adding this tool to lessons to enhance students' understanding and make learning more effective. Future research should look at the long-term benefit and effectiveness of specific interactive research.
On to the end of the session, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Rihhadatul Aisy and Syifa Nurul Sholihah for their great presentation, and to Prof. Dr. Safrizal MPD for his continuous guidance and support as the lecturer of Seminar on English Language Teaching. We hope today's discussion has given us valuable insight and inspiration for our future teaching and learning journey. Thank you to everyone for your active participation. Please forgive me for any shortcomings during my time as moderator. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.